All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for showing up today. This is our Monday agent attraction class for the EXP Freedom Team. And I've got a good friend, and Gus, I'm so excited about what Rahul is going to talk to us about today. But let me first just tell you this man is a serial entrepreneur, an international commercial real estate investor with EXP Mexico. Graduated from Stanford in '05, started a tech company in 13, which he later sold to Google. What a feat. That is so exciting. You know my story, so I won't even go down that path. But after selling that, he traveled the South American country with his wife for 2 years, returned to the US, started another company, which he then sold. And today he's working with that organization called WorkSource. And they're an organization that understands attraction. And specifically, he has been helping EXP Realty agents attract using LinkedIn. And I know we've had other speakers on this topic, but I've been really blown away about what he offers. And he's not here to sell you anything today, but to teach you how you can do this on your own. Obviously, if you're interested in his service, you can do that on your own. I just signed up with him. So check with me in a month or two to see how that's going. But lots of value, lots of content. Rahul, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you being here and pouring into our organization this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me, Tim. I'm excited to do this. I'd like everybody to be interactive. I'm not a fan of speaking at you. So if it's not interactive, we're going to be having a lot of silent time staring at each other, meditating together on Zoom. So, all right. So let's kind of hop into it. Before I do, um, is everyone aware? And I'm asking some questions that might not seem like they have anything to do with agent attraction, but they are actually very important in agent attraction. So is everyone aware what's going on currently in the real estate industry with interest rates, with the two major lawsuits that were settled by Remax and no? Okay, so there, as you all know, for years our commissions have been under attack, right? Everyone can agree that for years people have been asking us to reduce our commissions or give me a break here, give me a break there. Well, there's now two lawsuits in the state systems that have gone to the Missouri and Illinois Supreme Court regarding commissions and really regarding buyer commission not being paid by the seller. Okay, so imagine what that could do. And there's been two major settlements by Remax and Century 21. Now, if we're looking at who are we going to target as far as agents go, Remax and Century 21 are really good prospects to be targeting right now for attraction for a lot of reasons. I'm not going to go into those lawsuits, but I would suggest there's some really good resources online. I know the Freedom Team has resources, so you can go there for those resources. By the way, I feel like my house is Dr. Doolittle's house. I married into 3 cats and 6 dogs, and no, I'm just kidding. 3 cats and 1 dog. And so if you see a cat jump up on the back, it's not intentional. She just seems to like it on the top of my chair. All right, so all of that's actually very important in attraction. The other thing going on is the U.S. economy is in trouble, and we are starting to see indicators similar to the types of indicators we saw pre-2008, economic indicators, right? Again, why is that important? It's important because if you understand what EXP offers, if you understand that EXP offers express offers, if you understand that EXP offers REO type services, right? Training you and teaching you how to be REO agents, you can be very well equipped for what will likely come in the future. And even if, God willing, the economy keeps staying strong forever, you're still equipped, right? Because you're with one of the best brokerages in the world. But that's likely not reality. So the first thing I want to do is let's jump into LinkedIn and look at how to build a LinkedIn profile that meets all of LinkedIn's algorithms, right? And you'd be surprised. Tim actually has a very good profile. I know he said slaughter my profile, but he actually has a very good profile. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know, everybody, if you can see it. I haven't started sharing yet, so you shouldn't be able to see anything. Let's see. Huh. Tim, there it is.
Green button on the bottom.
Yeah, semi-retarded.
You're a Google Meets guy, I know.
Can everybody see Tim's profile? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So the first thing, let's start with the things that are the most important to LinkedIn. Okay, the most important. LinkedIn wants an image here. You have to have an image here. So if you're on your LinkedIn and you don't have an image here, put an image here. Now, I won't go through how you do this stuff. I have lots of videos I've created, and you can reach out to me through Workplace. My name is Rahul Manohar. Tim also has my contact information. So you can get my information that way. And I will send you videos on our YouTube channel on how you do this. Or I'll create a video for Tim that he can put on the Freedom Team's YouTube channel. Okay. So have an image here. Very, very important. The second thing you notice is there's a very good picture of Tim here. He's smiling. Okay. LinkedIn has AI, very good AI running now, and they can tell if someone's smiling or not. They can tell if there's a cat in the background or a dog. They happen to like pets. They happen to like dogs more than cats. I don't know why that's the algorithm, right? So if you have a picture with you and your dog, it's not as good of a picture as just you, but it's better than you and your cat. So don't put a picture with you and your cat. All right. The next thing that he does, which is genius. So if he did this on his own, genius. If he was taught to do this, genius. You notice that these.
If I paid somebody to do it, not so genius.
What's that?
If I paid somebody to do it, not so genius.
Well, they did it right. If you paid someone to do it, they did it right. Okay. So, which is good. So, you notice that it's keyword or word, and then that up and down line, and then two words up and down line, to hash dash. How you want to call whatever? It's, I don't know. It's not a hash or a dash. It's an up and down line. 3 years of law school, and that's all I can say is up and down line.
How about a vertical bar?
Thank you, vertical bar. I live in Mexico now and speak mostly Spanish. My English is going downhill quick. So the reason that's important is that area, the headline, is the most valuable and powerful part of your LinkedIn profile. And those keywords are indexed by Google. They're also indexed by Facebook, by Instagram, and by TikTok, right? So if you go to Instagram or TikTok or Facebook and you were to look at their algorithm and they looked at who is Tim Hollenden, what they would see is that he is a realtor, an expansion leader, a mentor, and an entrepreneur. Okay. If you want to do anything for your SEO and you don't want to pay $1,000 for SEO optimization, do this. Whatever your keywords are. Now, Kelly, where are you based? What market are you in?
Colorado Springs.
Okay, great. So, and are you primarily building a team, or are you in production, or a mix of both?
Primarily building a team, financial advising, all production is referred.
Okay, perfect. This is perfect. So for you, what you would put is expansion leader, mentor, and where specifically are you building your team, and with what type of agents? With top producers, with
small brokerages, small brokerages, with small brokerages.
Small brokerages. Okay, perfect. So I would say brokerage advisor, right? So what it should say in yours is realtor, have realtor first, expansion leader, brokerage advisor, right? Brokerage advisor, mentor. That's what yours should be. Kate, what's your business look like? Are you in production? Are you in building a team? Is it a mix of both?
Both.
Okay, and you're in Colorado. You're in Boulder, I assume, because it says Boulder on the screen. Are you in Boulder?
Yes, Boulder.
Okay. So for you, it should say realtor, right?
Okay.
And then vertical bar. Vertical bar, and then Boulder realtor. So realtor, Boulder realtor.
Okay.
Right? And then are you primarily a listing agent or a buyer's agent?
I'm a real estate whore.
Okay, great. All right. So then what you should say is listing agent, right? Listing agent, vertical bar, buyer's agent.
Okay.
Okay.
How many characters does that take? The headline.
You could have 9 keywords in your headline. right? Like, and a keyword isn't just one word, it's 2 words. So 9 sets of 2 words can be in your headline.
Okay.
I
So
don't know the
10 words
numbers.
only.
The thing is, the problem is LinkedIn is changing it pretty regularly. Like every 7 to 10 days, they add a character, take one away. So it varies. But what I just said will fit, and that would make the most sense for you, right? Midge, what's your practice? You're muted.
Yeah,
Okay.
so well, so this is I'm a little bit of a dilemma. So I do real estate, but I am a leadership executive coach, trainer, and speaker as well.
Okay,
So
great. Well, LinkedIn is actually a very good tool for you outside of attraction, right?
outside of what, I'm sorry?
Outside of agent attraction, LinkedIn would be a very good tool for you to generate business in general.
Okay.
So for you, what I would put is I would put coach, speaker. So coach would be first, and then the vertical bar speaker, right? And then the vertical bar, and then what type of speaker, right? Speaker could be a variety, many things. So
It's well,
specifically,
it's motivational and leadership growth. So self-growth and growth of teams.
okay. So that those last keywords are the best: self-growth and team growth, right? Self-growth, vertical, horizontal or vertical bar, team growth. Those would be your keywords. All right. So
So wait, do I start with realtor? I'm confused. Wait.
No, for you, if real estate is not your primary practice, then I wouldn't start with realtor. Whatever your primary income source is, your primary practice, start with that.
Okay,
So is real estate your primary practice? Where does most of your
well, so we're in a transition, in which
okay.
we just and my husband Fred and I, who Fred's on the meeting too, we just transitioned. He just retired, and so now we're doing real estate together. But I've just been a leader in leadership forever, and have done real estate like on the side. But we want to amp up our real estate. But I'm still very much involved in my leadership work.
Well, then if you want to, if the idea is that you want to amp this, by the way, the position you're in, Midge, is a very good one, and it's a good one to talk about, because I think a lot of people are probably doing something else also, right?
Okay.
And so I would say for you, the first word would be realtor, because you want to ramp that up, right? You want to bring more real estate business. If you are ramping down, if you will, if you were still a realtor, but you were ramping down, I would say realtor would be the 3rd or 4th in line. But since you are ramping up, realtor should be first in that line.
Okay.
Right. So what that says is, if I didn't say it clearly enough, the order also matters. Okay. Why would you put seller agent in front of buyer's agent? Because we all want listings before we want buyers, right? At least that's what Gary Keller said. He's done very well, so I'm going to listen to him. Okay. So the next thing is, let's look at the about section. Now, something Tim did that was very well done, and or whoever he hired to do this did a good job as well. There's 2 ways LinkedIn likes to see the about section. The first way is this, where it's no more than 3 lines and then a space, right? Or what these dashes they think of as a bullet point, right? They love these bullet points. This is about the size that they want to see it. The other way, the way that we tend to do, is a 3-paragraph, one paragraph that's 3 lines, 4 bullet points, and then another paragraph that's 3 lines. Both ways are very good, and both ways optimize the algorithm. And I haven't seen any empirical data that would show this way is better than that or that way is better than this. They're equal. Okay, now here's what's important. The first 3 paragraphs normally humans read. The last paragraph nobody reads except for the algorithm. Okay, so many people will ask, well, why would I need to write anything there if no human is going to read it? Because remember, in social media today, we care about humans, but what we care more about is the algorithm. If the algorithm forces us to be at the top, we're going to be at the top of Google, we're going to be at the top of Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. All right. LinkedIn has more power with Google than any of the platforms. Think about that. LinkedIn has more power with Google than Facebook, than Instagram, or with TikTok. And nobody uses it because they don't know to, right? So, Kate, I can almost guarantee, because I've done this in the LA market, it's a bigger market than Boulder. I've gone in and looked at hundreds of profiles in LA, real estate agent profiles. I found one that was optimized. And that one happened to be on the first page of Google. He was number 9, but on the first page of Google, and he was doing no SEO in Facebook and very little SEO on his website. Where did the power come from? It came from his LinkedIn profile that was optimized, right? So be the 1% in your market with LinkedIn. Be the 1%, all right? Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, and I'm sure this is recorded, so go back and watch this recording. But the way to do it, and everyone has Tim's LinkedIn profile. You should, if you're not connected to him, connect to him. But this is the setup, or paragraph, 4 or 5 bullet points, paragraph, okay? Paragraph, 4 or 5 bullet points, paragraph, that's the setup. And you can, and so what do you talk about? Talk about whatever you want. Those 4 or 5 bullet points should be your skill set. So Midge, for you, since you're a real estate professional and you're a coach, your 4 or 5 bullet points should cover real estate as well as coaching, right? Kelly, for you, since you're growing a team and you're in fact mostly growing a team, those 4 or 5 bullet points should be about team growth, about coaching, about mentorship, right? Kate, since you're a real estate whore, your 4 or 5 bullet points should be about selling, and then one little one about recruiting. But sell, recruit. All right. Does that make sense? And Melvin, what's the question? By the way, if anyone has a question, don't raise your hand. Just ask. Just interrupt me and ask. I prefer that.
Yes, I'd like for you to tell me what I should put in LinkedIn. I'm a listing agent and buying agent and a recruiter.
Okay, great. So let me go back. I'll go. And where are you based, Melvin?
In Los Angeles.
All right, that's a great territory. All right, so what you should put here, Melvin, is you should put the first thing, Melvin, should be listing agent, the first thing, right?
Okay.
Then the next thing, sorry, the first thing should be realtor. The next thing should be listing agent, buyer's agent. Okay, so realtor, listing agent, buying agent, Los Angeles. Now, is there any, because Los Angeles County is huge. What specific cities in Los Angeles do you target?
More the South Bay area, Torrance, the beach city areas, Long Beach.
Okay, so pick 2 cities and don't say South Bay. That's terrible SEO. LinkedIn wants to see specificity, right? Specificity is important for LinkedIn. So what city? Torrance, right? Torrance Realtor, right? Venice Beach Realtor. That's, I know, not in LA County, but
Redondo Beach.
Redondo Beach Realtor, right? Write the city and then realtor after it. That's the keyword. For you, those are the keywords.
Okay.
All right. So now let's so the about section is pretty clear, right, for everybody. I'm gonna finish up the LinkedIn profile here in about 8 to 9 minutes, and then I'm going to talk about the attraction piece. Now, how do you then use LinkedIn to actually attract people? What do you say? And then I'll leave about 7 to 8 minutes for questions. Is that fair? Tim, is that fair? Everybody, is that fair?
Yeah, that's good. And before you go in and finish out this segment, Kelly had a question about her specific bar. I forget what you called it.
And
the keywords.
Tim, I think I'm good at this point after he's talked more through other people's.
Okay.
I just need to play with it a little bit. I'm good.
Hey, and also everybody, if you want to send me your LinkedIn profile afterwards, after you've done it, I'll gladly just give you my opinion. It costs you nothing. It costs me nothing. And I can be of service to Tim, who I have a lot of respect for. All right. So if you would like if you'd like to just do it, work on it, I'll happily give you feedback and go help you with a couple of revisions on your LinkedIn. Your job, though, is to do the work. And you are all obviously here, meaning you're willing to do the work. Lots of people probably had the opportunity to be here and they couldn't or they wouldn't, right? So just do the work and I'll help you with your LinkedIn profile. Is that fair?
That's awesome. Thank you for
It's like,
offering
that's
that,
not fair at
Rahul.
all.
That means a bunch.
Okay, cool, cool, excellent. Now let's continue going down this. I have 3 screens open, so so now something Tim does very, very well. I would recommend, if you have the bandwidth to do it, you do it.
Yeah.
If you have the bandwidth to do this, I would recommend you do this. So the first thing you notice that Tim has is he's got a lot of activity. Okay. He also has a lot of followers. Now LinkedIn's a little bit, it's a little confusing when you look at followers. That's the size of his network. Is 20. When someone joins your network, they automatically become a follower unless they go out of their way to unfollow you, right? Which no one does. Very few people do. Now, the question that many people ask is, do I have to create content specifically for LinkedIn? The answer is no, you don't. All of the content, and I'm sure Kelly, Midge, Kate, Teresa, you're all probably creating content already, or having somebody create content for you that's going on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Is that correct? Is that a fair assumption? Yes? Okay. If you are already doing that, all of that content can go on LinkedIn, okay? And there's tools that you can use. There's free tools you can use. Hootsuite has a free version. My company has built a system that has a free version, right? So you can do it manually, or you can use some of the tools that exist to do it for you, right? So again, but the point is, any piece of content that you have created in other platforms, put it on your LinkedIn. It is incredibly powerful for the algorithm. All right. Now, this is where Tim is going to get a little bit of criticism. Y'all ready for this? All right. The experience section is one of the most important sections of LinkedIn. Okay. Now, from an attraction perspective, especially, it's important. And I'll talk about why. But the first thing is, we all know that Tim has been in real estate for a very long time, 20 plus years, right? But all 20 years were not with EXP. I mean, EXP was barely around back then, right? So it would make a lot of sense, especially now, if we're targeting brokers, it would make a lot of sense that you show your other real estate experience, right? There used to be this thought in real estate that I only want people to see my team and my team name. But suppose we're targeting RE/MAX agents. Now, we know Tim used to be a RE/MAX broker with offices, not just a broker, but a broker owner with offices. If we start targeting for Tim RE/MAX broker owners and say, I used to be a broker owner, where's the first place they're going to go to look if he was in fact a broker owner? LinkedIn, his LinkedIn, because we're targeting them from his LinkedIn, right? And they're going to look at his profile and say, wait a minute, there's nothing about RE/MAX on this guy's profile. Does that make sense? Right? If you're targeting Century 21 brokers or broker owners and say, I used to be a broker owner at RE/MAX, I understand what it's like, they're going to go and all they're going to see is founder, Louisville Homes Fast, the Hollenden team self-employed. That's all they're going to see. They're not going to read anything else. They're not going to read that he was at RE/MAX. They're not going to read it. They're looking for the RE/MAX logo if we use the word RE/MAX. So have your experience listed. If you have only been at EXP for less than a year and you're thinking, well, that's a hindrance to me for agent attraction, it is not a hindrance. If you've been at EXP for 20 years and say, well, that's a hindrance, it's not a hindrance. Hindrances are created in your mind's eye, period. Okay? Hindrances are created in your mind's eye. All right? I am a gringo. I am brown, but I'm still a gringo. And when you're in Mexico and you're buying commercial real estate and they hear your accent, do you know what you get? You get gringo pricing, which is like US pricing in Mexico. And so I could have come to Mexico and I could have said, oh, I'm an American and no one's going to do business with me and I'm screwed. That's a self-taught hindrance. Instead, I came here and I've built a very lucrative, successful development company as an American gringo that happens to be brown. By the way, the brown doesn't help. They're like, you're not from here. What are you, Indian or Arabic or Chinese? I've gotten Chinese. People think I'm Chinese. I don't get that one. Anyone can help me with that one. That would be great. I mean, like 7 or 8 people were serious. They're like, you're Chinese, right? Yeah, obviously. So the point is, it doesn't matter how long you have or have not been at EXP. It's a hindrance in your own mind's eye. If you're new at EXP, you can talk about how excited you are. If you've been at EXP for a while, you can talk about how you've seen it grow, and there's still no better opportunity on the face of the planet, right? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, Fred, do you have any questions for me? I know you've been on the call since the beginning, and I haven't asked you, so let me ask you now.
No, sir. Actually, I'm just soaking it all up.
Okay.
Like Midge said, we're still fairly new to EXP, so we're trying to bring everything in and try not to have our heads explode along the way. So,
Got it.
I mean, people like Tim and Kelly have been wonderful and so giving in information and everything, and we appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. Excellent. Well, if you have any questions, please just don't raise your hand because I can't see the whole screen. Just stop me and ask me.
Great. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, please.
Please, could you describe how far back we should go about our experience, like we were babysitting in high school?
That's actually a very good question. LinkedIn likes about 8 years. They like 8 years. However, there's a caveat to that. If 8 years ago you were at the same place that you are today, they want to see at least 2. Okay, so it's 2 or 8 years. So they want to see 2 experience fields or 8 years, one of the 2. So if 8 years ago you were at EXP, then and if you're at EXP for 20 years or since inception, put where you were before that. Now, if you are one of those people who were at EXP since inception and you were one of the first 100 or 1,000 agents at EXP, that should be placed. So if you know anybody who was one of the first 100 or the first 1,000, that should be very clearly stated. I was the first one, the first 100, first 1,000 agents at EXP. All right. Does that answer your question, Kate?
It sure does. And then I'm also wondering, do you want to eliminate anything that was not real estate related?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is the reason. Well, that's a very good question, everybody. The reason you don't want to eliminate non-real estate related is if you are using your LinkedIn profile for agent attraction as well as selling, and LinkedIn is a very good tool for selling as well, the people that you're selling to are not also real estate agents, I assume, right? I mean, if they are, there's something's amiss, right? But when they see your LinkedIn profile, right, and they look at it and they say, oh, this person's real. They have some experience outside of real estate, right? They have the ability, and they might not consciously think that, but subconsciously they think that. And there's been a lot of studies done on this. So I'm not making this up. So no, if you have non-real estate experience, don't take it off. Don't clean your profile of sorts.
Well, but if you have a lot of very diverse experience, like I was software 25 years and then owned a few companies and ran them, do you just put all of them in, even though it was really diverse?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So I have a client, he's with Keller Williams in Silicon Valley. And he was in software for 10 years. And before software, he was a doctor. So he was a doctor, left medicine, went and became a software developer, left that and became a real estate agent. And he only had real estate on his profile. And I said, what do you hide? Add all that stuff back. And lo and behold, his LinkedIn profile is now generating him about a listing a month, right? And the only thing that we changed was he added all this information back. So now folks in tech can see, oh, he can relate to me. He's not just a realtor, right? And mind you, the problem with today, in today's day and age is, and you all know this, is as our commissions are being attacked, especially engineers, if you've dealt with engineers, they think they know more about your job than you do, right? I mean, I'm Indian. I have lots of engineers in my family. So my parents think they know how to run companies. I'm like, you've never owned a company in your life. Are you high? But of course, I would never say that to my mom. She would beat me at 45. All right. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can be, even though everything goes back for me is around leadership, but it's like I do worry about what do I put on LinkedIn so it doesn't look like, oh, well, she's just all over the place, right?
She's jumpy. She's jumpy.
Yeah. And so I certainly won't want to look back because all of this makes up who I am, you know, all the things that I do. But one of the things that part of my leadership piece is that I'm creating a podcast right now. So is that something I would put in there? It's a leadership podcast. Is that
I would
something?
put it, you would absolutely put it in there.
Okay.
And so there's ways to do it. It's actually Tim's profile is a good example for this.
Okay.
And what I've seen people do is similar. So suppose if we look at your history and it's 3 months here, 6 months here, 1 year here, and you don't want it to look like that, you can put all of that experience under one heading, right? Midge, I'm gonna butcher your last name, Midge, and I apologize ahead of time. Midge Edson?
It's Edson.
Yeah. Wasn't close. Midge Edson leadership, right? Could be called that, and then you could put 2 years or 3 years worth of experience under Midge Edson leadership and bullet point out all the things that you did.
Okay.
Right? The way consultants do it, this is a good question. How do consultants do it who have 18 or 19 different projects? They just say John Smith Consulting, and then they list all their projects under that one block. So it doesn't look like 9 projects. It looks like 5 years of projects under your consulting group. Okay. So the point is there's ways to mitigate that. All right. So now let's talk about, okay, you've got your profile down. How do we actually go out and recruit? What's the process of recruiting? This is the process. First, we identify who are we recruiting? Are we recruiting people in your market? Are we recruiting people internationally? Who are we recruiting? So if you have a team, so I'm going to ask 2 people to give me examples. One person who has a team that has maybe 3 or 4 levels that are still locked. Is there anyone like that who was on this call?
When you say locked, you mean what?
Where you don't have access to, you're not getting the money off that rev share because you're not FLQ. You don't have enough frontline qualified agents.
I don't.
That's
I have
you,
75
Kelly.
in my team and I have 6 FLQAs.
Okay, great. So Kelly, that's you. Okay, perfect. And Tim, perfect. Okay, and now what about folks who don't really have an organization or a team yet, and they're looking to build a team? Who is that on this call?
Me.
Kate? That's Kate. Okay. Anybody else? Christy, Samantha, Teresa. You know, by the way, I call on people. If you didn't figure that out.
Samantha, I have 2.
You have 2.
I have 2, so I need to do.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me speak to both.
That's me. I have 1 and I want more.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me speak to both. Let me first speak to Kelly and Tim, and then let me speak to Kate and Teresa and Samantha and everybody else who wants more. Kelly and Tim, there's a little known secret in EXP. Now, this is you are not going to make any money directly off of these people, but you are going to be able to unlock those levels. So newer countries, it's a little known secret in EXP. Newer countries that EXP has brought in, Greece, Spain, countries that haven't reached critical mass in EXP's opinion. And the way we find this out is we talk to EXP International, okay? So those countries, we'll use Greece as an example. When you bring on an agent in Greece or in Spain who has a pulse, all right? When you bring on an agent in Spain or in Greece who has a pulse, they come in as automatically frontline qualified agents, right? Are your wheels starting to turn?
Why? Because
this is the reason why. Good. That's a good question. Why would EXP do that? It's the same reason EXP did it when they opened, when EXP as a corporation opened into the United States. Why did they do it? Because they needed to reach critical mass. So they went to all the big Keller brokers and they said, listen, we're just going to let everybody in your organizations count as FLQAs. And it made it a lot more appealing for those big teams to move over, right? Same thing, the same exact thing. Until a country reaches what they consider critical mass, they leave the rules bent, if you will, or they just change the rules. Companies do it to get market penetration. They are doing it to get market penetration. Once they have reached market penetration, they will then change the rules back. The rules were that way in Mexico for a long time until they reached market penetration, then they changed the rules back. They're currently that way in Greece, they're currently that way in Portugal, and they're currently that way in Spain. They're likely going to change in Portugal here in the next month. Greece just opened. Also, Germany, because of the war, is in a lot of economic trouble and real estate suffering. So the rules were changed. They've changed them back to auto FLQAs. All right. So for you, Kelly, and for you, Tim, that is a strategy. Now, mind you, it's very important to note, you are not going to make any money off these people. Why? When you bring on agents in, you're going to unlock levels and you're going to make money off of your downline, but you're not going to make any money off those actual FLQAs. Why? Because in Mexico, you are not required to run a deal through EXP. In Greece, you are not required to run a deal through your broker. Okay, now we can talk about this. Feel free, Kelly, I can explain this to you in a lot more detail. Feel free to just book a time with me and I'll explain it to you. I won't charge you anything. I'll just explain it to you. All right. So that for you and Tim, that's what I would do. Now for Kate, for Samantha, for Teresa, the strategy is don't go after instant FLQAs that you're not going to make any money on, right? The strategy for you is start targeting companies that are hurting. Companies right now that are hurting are Remax, Century 21, Compass. All of these companies are in major financial trouble. I've heard agents say, well, Redfin just laid off 1,000, 2,000 agents. Do not target Redfin, okay? Avoid Redfin like it's the plague. Redfin agents, I don't know how to say this in a way that's politically correct, so I'm just going to say it. If you don't like it, you can hop off the call. Redfin agents tend to be lazy. There, I said it. Right? Not because they're lazy people, but because the Redfin model is they get salaries and they get deals handed to them. All right. So it doesn't make sense to target someone who's had a salary in real estate. Don't target those people. Okay. Now, how do you target? Okay, so we understand. Does all this make sense on who to target so far? Yes? Yes. Okay, yes. Great. Now, what do we say to those people? Okay, well, let's look at Remax and Century 21. By the way, does anyone know how Compass, before Compass was paying people to join their team, do you know how they grew so fast? Does anyone know their secret? It's very interesting. And by the way, they did a lot of recruiting out of EXP and Keller. I'm going to stop sharing because we don't need to look at LinkedIn. And I'd like to see your faces. Okay, so this is what they did. And this is what we do when we're targeting local. Compass understood that EXP was the best recruiter in the market. And we are. We are the best recruiting agency in the market by a long shot for a lot of reasons. However, they also understood that EXP's churn was very high, and EXP's churn is high. Churn means people leave your company as quick, faster than they come in, or at a very high rate. Do you know why? Do you know why people leave EXP? This is why. When we recruit, we are wooing the living daylights out of people to come. And then when they come and they join, the help tends to stop somewhere around the 8-month mark. So this is what Compass did, and they did it very successfully. They started targeting people using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, the same thing we can do for our clients and that you can do by yourself. You don't need to hire someone like me. They used LinkedIn Sales Navigator. They found everybody who had been at EXP for under a year. And then they started sending them messaging on LinkedIn saying, hey, how's it going? Are you getting the support? Do you like the support? Is the support good support? And they would just ask that simple question over and over and over again. Do you know what happened? People would respond and say, well, the support was good, but it dropped off. Oh, what happened? Well, how did it drop off? And they would approach it in a way where they sounded like they wanted to really help you. well, you know, at Compass, we do this, and we do this to support our agents long term, and we have a 3-year training program, and you have a mentor for 3 years, and slowly but surely, using that sole strategy, they recruited thousands of agents, right? EXP didn't put these numbers out, but Compass did, because companies like to brag. And they said in their first 2 quarters, they recruited 15% to 20% of their recruits were from EXP. Think about that. Compass, a massive company, 15% of their new recruits were from EXP using that strategy. They use the same strategy everywhere else. So you, Mark, Kelly, Kate, Melvin, Samantha, the strategy that I would suggest that you use is get Sales Navigator. I'll create a video for Tim's team on how to do this, because the how doesn't matter. It's the doing it is what matters. This is how you recruit. You go to Sales Navigator, you get a list, and Sales Navigator will create the list for you of all the agents at Century, at Remax, at Better Home and Gardens, who've been at those companies for under a year. Why those companies? Those companies just settled a major lawsuit. Agents in those companies are scared, okay? You then send them this very specific messaging, which is, I understand you just settled a major lawsuit. As you know, in your companies, before anyone else, the industry is going to change. We at EXP have things to mitigate those changes, all right? Now, it's very important before you say that, because of compliance, everyone's familiar with EXP's compliance, there are very specific ways to recruit, okay? So that will not be your first message. Your first message to these people, and by the way, I have this cadence written out. I can send it to everyone. Just email me and I can send you the cadence. Your first message to them will be, hi, I was looking at your profile. I would like to collaborate, okay? Once they are in your LinkedIn network, then you can send them that second message. I understand there's major changes going on in your organization. It looks like you've been at Century or at Remax or Better Home for under a year. We at EXP have some very cool technology to mitigate the challenges you're seeing at those companies, what those lawsuits and settlements did. Does it make sense? Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. So let me tell you what those settlements did. Okay, now this isn't law. These companies agreed out of court to do this. They agreed that the seller will not pay the buyer agent's fee. Okay, so Remax, if you are in the future, and the court has not approved the settlement yet, but the court will. The court actually has what they call early judgments, early rulings. They're not official rulings. They are just, the court is indicating which way they're leaning. This is why these two companies settled, because the court indicated that they are going to lean in favor of the plaintiffs, the people that sued Remax. Okay, the court indicated that. So Remax was like, we're not good with this. Let's settle this out of court. Okay, so if in the future you Kelly, or you Fred, or you Mark, or you Kate, you Melvin are dealing with a Remax agent, you are going to have to get your buyer to either pay the 3%, one, or two, convince the selling agent to convince their seller to add an extra 3%. Does that make sense? Does that suck? Yes, it does. But does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
It does.
So
embrace the suck.
What's that?
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. And
that's how you get through
suck, and more than embrace the suck, use that as a tool to recruit the heck out of these agents. Because let me explain to you, I've been in 2 major federal lawsuits involving battling. I in fact enjoy going to court against the IRS. It's one of the things I miss about being a litigating attorney. I know people think that's sick, but I love fighting the IRS in court. I mean, I actually like. And I also love jujitsu and combat sports. Maybe that's why. So, but one of the things I've learned about suing the IRS is these cases take years. right? This isn't going to be done in a year or 2 years. It's going to be done in several years. So REMAX agents and all anywhere agents are going to be stuck with this problem, if you will, for a long time before this is finalized in court. Okay, so you have an amazing recruiting opportunity. This is who you should be targeting. This is who we are targeting for Tim. We are targeting broker owners at REMAX and Century 21 and Better Home and Gardens for Tim, because they all understand they're in trouble. Okay, and at EXP, they're not in trouble. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? So what's the process? The process is for Kelly and for Tim, we target people in other countries to open up those unlocked levels. That's option one. Option two is, if you have to use the same time and resources, it's probably better just target broker owners at REMAX, at Century 21, at Better Home and Gardens. Okay. For everybody else, same strategy, broker owners and individual agents, but who have been there for less than 6 months, who are scared, who are watching these lawsuits come out and thinking, what is this going to do to my business? I now, as a listing agent, have to do double work, or I, as a buyer's agent, am screwed. Okay, so target those folks.
Question.
All right.
So and targeting.
Sorry, 1 second, Kelly. I don't have anything else. That's the process. I can send you the scripts. I can send you book times with me. We'll talk about your profile, and Tim has all my contact information. And then any questions, please ask them. And if there's anything I didn't cover, Tim, please tell me you did a terrible job. You didn't cover this, and I'll cover it.
No, done. This has been great. And who wants to have him back to talk about how to get clients through LinkedIn?
I do.
Because all this works on the sales side too.
Yeah.
A couple clarification points I want to kind of either state or ask if I'm incorrect. You've mentioned Century 21 over and over and over, but I think what you're meaning is anywhere company. Century 21, Coldwell Banker, ERA, Better
Correct.
Homes and Garden, Sotheby's, etc. Correct?
Yes. I just use Century 21 because we've recruited heavily from them, so they're stuck in my brain. But anyone who's an anywhere anywhere is the holding company. So, and by the way, it was an $85 million settlement. But the biggest thing wasn't the money. 85 million to these guys is nothing. It's the rule changes. That's the powerful thing that is changing the industry. And Kelly, what was your question? I didn't mean to.
You said to target broker owners, like REMAX broker owners. I was under the impression that we could not, because they have an agreement with REMAX, and we had to avoid them if they were a broker owner.
It depends on where they are in the agreement, and we don't know. Right. It depends on, are they in that window where they can get out legally? Right. And so the way that we avoid that is we invite them to join our network, and then we have a conversation with them. So they would be a little bit different, but that is going to require a voice-to-voice conversation to know where they are.
And is that window a 6-month window, or what is it?
It was a 6-month. I believe it still is a 6-month window.
Yeah, as far as I know, it is. It keeps us from tortiously interfering with the agreement they have with the franchisor. And Kelly, to ease your mind, because I know how you think, because you and I are like brothers and sisters from another mother, but his approach just to ask for a connection to collaborate is good. And it might be something like this. I'm part of an organization that has a lot of former broker owners of franchise companies, and I'd love to connect and collaborate with you. Just as an example, I'm making this up as I go. So now we've connected. They're a connection in LinkedIn. Now your messaging can be a little different. You still can't ask them if they want to breach their contract with their franchise or owner and come to EXP, but you can start to collaborate. And at some point when they ask you about EXP, you can say, I would love to talk to you further about that, but I want to be respectful of the agreement you have with your franchisor. If you would please, either respond to this connection or send me an email saying I would love more information about EXP. Then at least we have something to put in our digital file that says they asked us, and that's when we started to engage, and that'll help in the tortious interference thing. Another way around it is not to pursue those. And I know this is in direct, it's contrary to what Rahul has said, because we're targeting those companies that are in the most trouble, those that have already agreed to settle. Now, whether they settle or not will impact the success of this. But you could also do what you're probably doing now, what I'm doing now, and that's go after the independent broker owners. They still have all the pain points that the franchise broker owners do. They just don't have that extra one that they put themselves in by admitting to this particular settlement. Right. Anything I said there, Rahul, you disagree with, want to clarify, or is off base?
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. The other thing, Kelly, to be cognizant of is individual broker owners they're all seeing these lawsuits, right? And they're feeling that fear. And it's almost at times greater for the individual broker owner thinking, oh my God, another interest rates were one thing, but now this. And so using that languaging of what's going on in the industry, people will either run from fear or run to pleasure, right? And unfortunately, people run faster from fear than they run to pleasure.
Yeah.
Right. So if we can use, now I'm not saying drumming up fear, but if we can talk about what is going on in the industry and use that to have people at least open their eyes to EXP, then why not?
And do you think the average agent at RE/MAX or any of these Anywhere companies knows this happened? Have they been educated? Has that pushed through?
I think there's a lot of agents knowing, they're starting to know about it. But what is happening, and I'll tell you because I know this from other clients who are targeting RE/MAX agents in Northern California. I've had RE/MAX agents say, "What are you talking about?" Let me show you what I'm talking about, and then sending them. And that causes, and what that does, very interestingly, is companies who aren't open with their employees, who aren't honest about what's going on, because they, out of fear, they say, well, we don't want people to know about this. So we just won't tell them until they are forced to tell them, right? It's a way to destroy the trust. Those companies are destroying the trust with their agents, right? And so my client who's doing this recruiting in Northern California is like, Rahul, I'm just sending them a link about the thing that their company settled on. And their immediate response is, okay, well, how does EXP work? And let me better understand this. I thought it was this. What is it really? Right. So yes, those agents don't know, a lot of them, and that's a great opportunity for us.
Well, I have a quick question.
Please.
How do you locate the LinkedIn Navigator?
So
Navigator?
you go to, if you enter your LinkedIn, you see up here, it says try premium for free. Wait, I'm not sharing my screen. I'm like, do you see it?
I'm writing it as you say it.
My wife's like, you haven't had your coffee, honey. I have 6 cups. All right, see up here where it says try premium for free?
Yeah.
The top right, see where my mouse is?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, if you click on that, now if you work with us, and if you work with other companies like us, you don't have to get Sales Navigator. They will do all of this for you. But if you want to do that, so by the way, it's about $100 a month, $1,200 a year. So you just go, I use premium for my job. Sorry. Okay, so what it's going to do is it doesn't really matter what you click, just click through. You're going to get to here, Sales Navigator 4 or Recruiter Lite. All right, you don't need Recruiter Lite. You might think, well, I'm recruiting agents. No, you don't. Don't listen to that. You need Sales Navigator. Recruiter Lite really is for staffing companies or placement companies. Okay, what you need is Sales Navigator. Okay, and then you just go to learn more, and then you can try it now for $0. Now, let me be very clear with you. LinkedIn if you don't put this on your calendar and remember to turn this off, they will charge you. And getting LinkedIn money back from LinkedIn, even if you've got Amex or a really good Visa or it's still very hard to do. I've had it happen, and I had to fill out a ton of information and the whole nine. So I would suggest either work with a company like mine or just talk to me, and I can help walk you through. Do you in fact really need it, or do you not?
Awesome stuff. Who has other questions? I know we're nearing the top of the hour quickly.
Raul, I'll email you to get some of this information, but can you also share back what your company does and what your price points are?
Yeah. Do you want me to share that now, or do you, Bill,
absolutely.
Or Tim? Okay. All right.
If you're asking for it, go ahead.
Okay. I want to honor what Tim said, so I don't want to feel like I'm stepping on any toes. So yeah. So we have a couple of services, but for agent attraction, or what I call linked listing, we have 3 price points: $400, $600, and $800. The $800 a month price point includes a virtual assistant to manage a lot of the back end process for you. The $600 price point gives you funnels and other services and the $400 is just LinkedIn, and you would have to pay for Sales Navigator. So the $600 includes Sales Navigator and all the tools, and it's a completely done for you service. The $400, you would have to create the messaging. You would have to really do a lot by yourself. And then the $800 is the $600 with a virtual assistant who's going through and cleaning this up. For broker owners, I would suggest our VA doesn't talk to them. And in Tim's case, the VA is not. They need to talk to you, Kelly. But if we're targeting solo agents, the VA would talk to them. And all our VAs come out of Mexico or Colombia, and they all come out of companies like FedEx, Amex, where they were only dealing with Americans.
Good English?
Their English is awesome.
Yeah. And I'll add to that.
A month, or is that a year, or
it's a month?
Is that a monthly?
It's monthly, and the other thing is, it's all monthly. The other thing is this: I am not a believer in long-term contracts for real estate agents. I think it's a very bad practice. It's month to month, okay? If you don't like it, leave. No one should be forcing you to stay in a contract. By the way, marketing companies who do that to agents, in my opinion, they do it because they suck. Because if their stuff was good, they wouldn't need to lock you into a long-term contract.
True.
Right?
Thank you for sharing that.
His service also includes a CRM to manage all of this, and the VA is actually booking appointments in your calendar through Calendly.
Correct.
Any other last minute questions? Rahul, I don't know if you need to go or not, but I want to be respectful of your time. If you're good for 5 more minutes, I don't mind keeping everybody if they're okay.
Tim, are you using the service?
Yeah, I just started. We actually have my onboarding call tomorrow, but I've been kind of checking this guy out. I've been on multiple webinars. I've talked to other EXP clients that use this service for about 6 weeks now. So been very impressed. And I used to be a client of Zapit. I used to be a client of Convert. And what I'm seeing is light years above what I've seen in the past. Just saying. Maybe I'm wrong. That's why I gave the disclaimer early on. Give me 30, 60, 90 days and ask me how it's going. And I'll be telling you the truth. But I have great expectations, and I'm sure they'll be fulfilled, honestly.
Excellent. Well, how do we get started?
I put his email in the chat. Unless you want to add something else to that, go ahead.
Yeah, just book a time with me, or email me, and we'll figure out a time where we can talk today or tomorrow, and we can get you started.
And is there, because I, like Tim, have used Convert and other services and some LinkedIn helpers, and my VA actually does LinkedIn for me.
Oh, great.
And above and beyond that, as Tim, as you're moving across into this platform, is there an expectation of how many connections you might get on a weekly basis of people that schedule with you using your service, Raul?
Yeah, so that's actually, I love that question. That's a great question. So we have.
You're gonna love the answer too, Kelly.
Yeah, so we have 100 connection requests that can go out a week through LinkedIn. One, but then you have your own, what we call already connected, first level connections, right? So we're able to target all of those, and we're doing group targeting, which sits outside of the of the 100 and the personal, right? That sits completely outside. There's no limits on that. So what we're finding is you're going to start having conversations immediately. Normally the first 2 to 3 months, no one's going to sign with you, but you're going to be in a lot of conversations. And what happens is this hockey stick effect. So you're going to have between 15 and 20 conversations going on those first 3 months. Then in month 3, you have a lot of people start popping, right, and signing. We don't know why. Then there's a little bit of a lull, like a month lull. There's potentially psychological reasons. I really don't know why. There's then a lull, and then it picks back up and it stays up going forward. So if you're expecting to sign anybody your first or second month, you're not going to. You're just not going to. I'm sorry, maybe that's me doing a bad job of selling. I don't know. I'd rather be honest with you though. But you're going to be in a lot of conversations. You're going to start to see the signups in month 2 and 3.
So you said 15 to 20 conversations per month within the first 3 months. And then after that, your expectation
you're gonna see
is
you'll the first month after that, you're gonna start seeing 2 to 3 signups that first month, and then 2 to 3 the second month, 2 to 3 the third month. And then after month 3, there's a lull again. And which doesn't make any sense logically. It legitimately makes no sense. But it exists, it's empirically existed, and then it picks back up again and stays up.
okay. So I'll talk to you offline about the different levels that you have.
Okay, sounds good. We also have other pretty cool REO and express offer products that are better for listings than agent attraction. I mean, that are better for listings than using EXP. They're just other products.
I
Tim,
have to go. Thank you so much. This was
You're
awesome.
welcome, Kate. Thank you.
Very valuable.
Tim, at this point, have you moved away from Convert and from some of the other tools that you were using and gone to this exclusively, or are you kind of carrying both?
No, I haven't used Convert I haven't used Convert in about a year, and I haven't used the other one in 2 or 3 months.
Setter, or
yeah, I used that one too. I forgot about them. No, I haven't used them in a year and a half probably.
okay.
But I like the price point. I like that the VAs are English speaking, and I don't know. It just feels right. I did my due diligence on this one because I've done. I've talked to other people and used other people in the past without properly vetting them. And like I said, I could be wrong. I'm not saying everything's going to be peachy, but I like where we are. I like where it's heading. I like the offering.
Well, and I love the LinkedIn conversations. They're really good, just connection.
Yeah.
And with my background, they don't know what I'm coming to talk to and collaborate about. And so it makes it a really nice entry that eventually moves to EXP.
Yeah, and we've all heard Stephanie talk about this too. And she manages all of that herself, or may have her assistant do it. But and I like the concern with over connecting. Raul, the reason my profile doesn't have any history is my old profile got completely shut down, and I just forgot to go back in and put all the historical places I've worked in there. So thank you for that. And I knew that because I've been on enough of your webinars to have been taught that by you. I just haven't taken the time to go back and do it. So
well, listen, the fact that you didn't have it was great because I could tell people something was wrong with your profile. So
yeah,
it worked out well.
I'm sure there's more than that, but thank you.
Actually, I did some back end tests, Tim. You have a very good profile. That was the one thing I was going to tell you needs to change. But the rest of it is done very, very well. The algorithm really likes your profile.
And Raul, I used to have bullet points in my about, and somehow my LinkedIn got reset to an old paragraph format. Is there any way to go back and find that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And if you work with us, I can just, or if you hop on a call with me and you don't work with us and you say, I realized I really don't like your beard and your smile sucks, so I'm not going to work with you. Fine. I'll still help you change your profile.
Okay, perfect. We'll get together. Thank you. And thank you so much for being on today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a good one.
Yeah, this has been great.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Last minute? All right.
Raul, Mark Messa.
Yeah.
Just curious, somehow LinkedIn, I've created 2 profiles. Would you recommend I try to take one of those
Yes,
down?
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It's a pain in the butt to do. If we hop on a call, it'll take 10 minutes or so, but we can do it together. You don't have to buy anything. I'll just help you do it. But yes, you should do it. The problem with it is if we were to go down the road and start running campaigns, or you were going to run campaigns on your own, LinkedIn at some point would figure it out, and then they would delete both profiles.
Okay.
All right. And if you had bought Sales Navigator, or they would just say, sorry, you are committing fraud, adios.
And next question. So this relates to you and Tim. After you engage in a conversation and maybe somebody starts responding back and communicating, at what point, Tim, are you going to maybe plug them into the Freedom Team conversations? What's the next step you're going to take at a certain point that's going to help you bring these agents over to EXP?
Well, some of that depends on the cadence that Rahul's sending me that is successful with other people that he's working with. But also a lot of my thinking is all the sales mastermind trainings we do on Tuesdays. I'm thinking about dripping those out to the people that I'm in conversation with, so that eventually they say, oh my gosh, you've given me more education in the last 6 months than my broker's given me in years. Let's talk.
Okay. And I would also think that a lot of times it takes that personal connection, at a certain point, Raul, are you finding these agents that are coming over with other EXP realtors that they're eventually, it's all about that personal connection at the end of the day? Or
well, it's a mix, actually. You'd be surprised. I mean, personal connection's important. There's no doubt about that personal connection's absolutely important. But what's also important is when you're able to give them more education than their broker is giving them, right? So and by the way, something I've learned about personal connection is when you do a good job listening to the other person and then responding to what they said, all of a sudden that person thinks, wow, we have an amazing personal connection. No, I just listened to you, right? I just listened to you and I heard you. Most people aren't heard. That's the problem. The biggest problem, I think, that the biggest problem with EXP agents who are recruiting is they don't hear the other person, right? They don't hear what the other person is saying. They go down this road of, no, they need to be told this, and we need to shove this down their throats. Well, you don't hear somebody else, right? So my request, the way we train our VAs is hear the other person. What are they saying? And they will tell you what their pain points are, right? We had a team that came over. It was a broker with 82 agents came over to a client recently. You know what his pain point was as a broker? His pain point was 9 years ago, he was sued, right? 9 years ago, he was sued, and he mentioned it in a 4-second clip. Yeah, in my brokerage, I've seen it all, from the lawsuit 9 years ago to, and so the agent, my client, went and did the research on his own, and he found out what the lawsuit was and came back and said, hey, was this the lawsuit? Man, this sucks. This is terrible, right? So the guy knew he was heard. That's what did it. What brought this team over was because my client heard him. So as long as you're the one you're hearing and not shoving stuff down people's throat, you'll move people over.
excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Teresa,
All right,
open your mic, please, and ask your question. Remind me of the name of the VA business you're offering is what was put in the chat.
Remind me the name of the VA business. Oh, so the company that bought my company is called WorkSource. And we have a VA practice and also an agent attraction practice lead. So so WorkSource. It's actually my email, worksourceco.com.
All right, guys, I know you've got to go. Thank
I
you
do
so
have
much.
to go.
Look forward to the next time, and I'll also
And I'll see you tomorrow, Tim. We're on the call tomorrow, right? You're on the call with like half our team, but we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes. Take
Thank
control.
Right, see by the way, thank you everybody for your time. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. We got a lot out of it. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome. Bye-bye, guys.